Welcome to Valentinus. This is my first webcasted YouTube video, and today we're going to study, or look at, I should say, Kotter's model of change, which is a theoretical process activity I created based on Kotter's model of change, and we'll look at major issues as key components of framed areas for change. So there are four key components that Kotter addresses in his theory for change in institutions or systems, and even in a macro way. We could look at the following: human resources, meaning people, as agents of change; structural changes, systemic; political changes, ideologies; and of course symbolic changes having to do with historical embeddedness of how things function within a within a system. The activity I created is basically, there's a worksheet. You print it out or designed yourself. You'll notice it's broken up into four rectangular areas that are titled Frame A, Frame B, Frame C, Frame D, and there's a line that's called a barrier to change that goes around each frame. And they're basically four pieces to a puzzle, right? That when you take them apart and put them back together, they form a whole system of change. And outside of the barrier in this little area are the essential strategies that are used to make change for each type of frame. Okay? And Frame A, Frame B, Frame C, and Frame D are basically the four key components discussed in the previous slide. In each rectangular section, there is a little activity to tell you kind of what to do, to think about in order to complete the little card. And this activity is done in groups, in multiples of four. You can have like 4 one-person groups, or 4 two-people groups, 3-people groups, and each group would work on coming up with a problem, the barrier that creates that problem, and then the strategy that would solve that problem. And so this whole activity is based upon Kotter's model of change. And so now let's look at one component of, we're going to look at Frame A first and see how that works out as an activity and what this means. And as a note, this is part 1 of 2 parts of a series of working out Kotter's frame of change. So the first frame we'll look at is the human resource frame, Frame A. And in that frame, there are barriers to change. So what does it mean, human resource frame? So a human resource frame is basically, we as people, what prevents us from changing? Because humans are resourceful and can be used as resources, but sometimes we don't have the capacity to make change within ourselves or for others because we lack certain things that prevent that from happening. Maybe qualities, psychological states of mind, etc. So barriers of change include feeling incompetent and needy, maybe being uncertain about things, and having anxiety. This could be related directly to, for example, putting together a YouTube video, where if you don't have the technological background and skills, it can be very frustrating. And so to change that, right, what do we need as people, as human resources, to make that happen? Change. And so essential strategies that might be related to this would be maybe training to develop new skills, participation and involvement in something like, for example, study videos, and psychological support if anxiety really is a problem, right? Perhaps talking to a counselor and to weed things out and figure out why it's creating a barrier for the individual. So we're going to pause here and continue with the next video. Please stay tuned.